Hello there, Bic Benedict here. We're playing Spec Ops The Line on FUBAR difficulty, and this is my guide and walkthrough. We're currently on Chapter 5 of 15. It is entitled The Edge. So the title card for this video doesn't appear until you get down here, so I contemplated starting the video over here, but since they start you out in the desert up top, I decided to be true to the video and start it up there. No big deal, but I wanted to mention it anyway. I have a whole bunch of topics that I've written down because a lot of the things that I always mean to talk about, they just get lost in trains of thought. And it is funny, if you stand in one place after you fall down from the zip line, your teammates can bump into you and cause you a bit of damage. It never kills you or anything like that, but it's kind of funny to let it happen. I think I do it at the end of the video if you want to see it. Now, over here there are two enemies conversing about gum, of all things, so it's a very engrossing conversation if you want to listen to it. You might have to if you die a couple of times, because this is where the checkpoint is, unfortunately. And you don't have to equip your silencer, because as long as you target one of the enemies, you will get Lugo's cooperation, and he will kill both of those targets for you. However, I don't understand why. It's just kind of baffling to me sometimes why they emphasize that you do stealth, because just try to picture what goes on over here. They want you, they promote that you stealth kill those two guys that were talking about gum, and then when you get down into this room, the team leader over here, can't remember the fucking guy's name. I know it's voiced by Nolan North, and he does a good job actually. The only reason I picked up the shotgun over there was to see if it had a different melee kill, because different weapons have different melee kills. They don't all have different ones, like I think Gears of War sometimes does, but interesting that happens. But so anyway, when you get down here into like when you enter, like when you're beginning to enter this room over here, the squad leader says don't fire until I say so, but he never ends up saying anything, so you're left just standing there. And then what happens is, one of the soldiers in here orders that one of the other soldiers go and investigates on the gum chewers outside, and then what ends up happening, whether you like it or not, is that things just kick off. So the only thing that matters is what you do to the first two soldiers, because you're not going to be doing anything in this area except having a huge gun brawl. So it's strange. It's really strange. So if you do loud takedowns on those first two targets, though, when you come down here, people are going to be already aggroed. So it's up to you. It really doesn't make any difference. I find it strange sometimes. Now, you're not going to get a checkpoint until you clear the lower room as well. The SAW, the saw, is a very strong weapon that the heavies use. We haven't actually faced a heavy yet, but we will. They carry the saw. The balance for the saw is this: it has extremely high rate of damage for its firing damage output, but it takes an eternity to reload. I almost want to say like 5 seconds. It takes a long time to reload the gun, and it's intentional. It's intentional. And it has a large clip too. I think it has like 2 different clips that you can exhaust before you have to reload it. So I'm not sure exactly what's going on with that, but I was listening back to some of my old videos, and in one of the videos I mentioned that the load time for the PS3 version, and I'm sure this is the same for the 360 version, because the consoles are similar. I mentioned that I clocked it once. This is back in 2012. And I heard myself say that the load time that I clocked was 24 seconds. So I just did a similar experiment with the load times on this game, and it was 6 seconds. So it's a quarter of the load times. And as much as I've criticized the load times earlier, I said that they aren't long, but they're not short. Definitely going from 24 seconds down to 6. That's a hell of an improvement. So, I mean, with 24 fucking seconds, I don't know how anyone can tolerate. I don't know how I tolerated it back then, but I do remember extremely lengthy loading screens, and it used to. It's horrible. I mean, we're playing a difficulty where we're constantly dying, so waiting 24 seconds is just extreme. So getting it down to 6 is. Bravo. I mean, getting it, if that was all that they could do, they did a hell of a good job, because 6 seconds is nothing compared to 24. Now, this fight over here is one of the fights that I really like in this game. Up here, you're going to be grabbing the Scout tactical rifle and sniping some folks. At first, before things have kicked off, obviously it's safe to snipe at your own leisure. There are a couple of targets that you can focus on first, but after you've taken a single shot, then things are really going to kick off, and it's going to be very difficult for you to survive while you're aiming, just due to the length of time that it takes to aim and size up a shot, mess around with the scope, adjust it in and out, however you need to do it. And I mean, look how fast you get put to the point of death screen, so you don't have much time to aim over here. But fortunately, you don't have to, because if you tell Lugo to snipe folks, he will snipe folks. He will do this entire fight for you. So this is a game where you succeed by depending on your teammates for help. There is a lot of exasperating times where your teammates keep falling down when they oughtn't to, but for the most part, they do a fairly good job, and that's not saying too much. But fortunately, we get a checkpoint, and I do have the. Remember, in the last video, I was mentioning the soundtrack. The sound that was playing at the conclusion of the last video was a song called Bad Vibrations by the Black Angels. They also have another song called the First Vietnamese War that I don't know exactly when it plays, but those two songs do play quite a bit. The best way to handle this fight, though, by far, is to come in here. There's going to be that guy and then this guy over here. I've never had a problem with both my teammates falling, because if both of the teammates were prone to falling over here, it would be a pretty big hassle. And one of the great things about this game is that you can take a swipe from an enemy on the hardest difficulty and not be instantly killed like you can on Gears of War. I really don't like how that happens. But one of the good things about this game is not only that, but if you're right next to an enemy and you just can't shoot them, just tap B and then you can just knock them down, and then you can finish off and execute them by shooting them while you're safely in cover, like I did. Or you can just execute them the old-fashioned way and get an ammo bonus, which is really cool. And speaking of the ammunition, see how we're using this grenade launcher up here? Well, the ammo boxes in this game give out great shit. I mean, you'll get grenades. You will get grenades for the Scar-H assault rifle. You'll get rocket launcher refills. I mean, you will get refills for what we're using over here. It might just be one, but it's stupid to think that it would fit in a box that's small, but it's a video game. and we can't expect any realism because in real life one bullet would kill you. You can't just take damage like this. But I do like this. I like this fight because your teammates aren't a burden over here, and it's a good fight. And the actual guy who's broadcasting this music in the game, he's a I think he might have a name. I've picked up all the intel, but I didn't get any sort of bonus, like any weapons, like weapon skins or character skins or anything like that. I did get an achievement, but that's it. But the Radio Man is a radio jockey in this game who is he's a passive protagonist who epitomizes. Well, he serves as a human embodiment of chaos in this game, and you do eventually meet up with him. One of your teammates kills him because he is essentially fueling the insanity of this whole situation, and I think that it's Adams who kills him. If Adams hadn't killed him, then somebody else probably would have, but I think the other two characters would have had mercy on him, quite honestly. But just make sure that, before you leave this area, you pick up everything that you need or want, and then we're going to proceed to the next part. Yeah, so I'm glad that those load times are down, but one of the irksome things is if you play this game enough and you die enough, and you will on FUBAR, you'll find that the game, whenever you've died like 5 times, it asks you if you want to switch the difficulties. And the indignation that rises within my heart when I see messages like that is in the anger when I see shit like that. It's just I cannot convey it in words. How indignant I feel at that. Just don't fucking ask me if I want to switch the difficulty. Go fuck yourself if you want to ask me if I want to switch the difficulty. I selected a difficulty, and let me just stick to my guns and deal with it without you having ask me if I want to switch difficulties. I know you can be tongue-in-cheek with it, like in God of War 1, where they asked you if you want to switch to easy mode when you're playing on the harder difficulties. Like, yeah. That was funny. That was a good joke, but I just hate being asked if I want to switch difficulties. I hate it. But did you see who we got rushed by? We got rushed by a bayonet runner. Now, the bayonet runners always come for you. They are weapons experts that cannot be meleeed. You can push them away from you by meleeing them, but it doesn't kill them. So they've got durability plus plus being an expert of weapons, which essentially just means they run at you with a knife, and you just need to put them down with a bullet because meleeing them does not knock them over. And they never come for your teammates; they come for you. So you've got to be aware of that. And then when you get into the next zone, you've got another one too. It's actually an interesting enemy because you'd be amazed at how dynamic this game can be. Like you will be targeting different enemies at different areas, and the characters will say things like, take out that shotgunner on the bridge, do this and that, and just these dynamic things that couldn't just be scripted, and it has to be something that's happening live during the game. So it's really cool. And that, here's another runner, by the way. And I like how after this fight too, the comrades are conversing about, did you see that insane motherfucker with a knife? It just little touches like that. But this game needed more, just more than slowdowns with headshots. It just needed a little bit more refinement, Okay, so if you want to have the teammates fall down when they get hurt, that's fine, but just not letting them be able to crawl back to you it makes the game a whole hell of a lot less fun, because there's certain sections in this game that like if they fall down, you're tempted to just restart without even, like, you don't even want to continue because it's a losing situation. But I never restart though. I don't give up. I try. I mean, you hardly ever skate through. I mean, it's almost always a death sentence. Almost always a death sentence. And there's also these loops that you can get caught in. One guy could fall down. You can ask the other guy to revive him, and then he'll try to revive him. And then as he tries to revive him, he gets put down. Or right after he picks up the guy that he was going after, the same guy that he just healed gets put down again, and then it's this unending cycle, and it's frustrating, and it makes the game it just stands out as being flawed, very much flawed. And the whole thing about the grenades, with the splash of the grenades, do you know how when you're in cover and you're trying to get away from them and you're trying to make the grenade indicator go from red to white, it takes a long journey through, like across down cover, for it to actually turn white. It should be about half. Like the whatever it is, like when you're trying to get away from it, it takes a long time to go from red to white. So I think it should be half. I mean, it really should. And that comment that I made about first-person games not being games, I do stand by that, and I do believe that, and it's not hyperbole, and I'm not joking around. I do think that first-person games are not games, and I know you just contradicted yourself, Buck, because you just said that a first-person game is not a game. You're recognizing it as a game. Well, I have to call it something. I have to call it something. See, see that I got knocked down. I was standing there intentionally just to show you that you can get hit. First-person games aren't games. They're not.
Never spoke to him, but the colonel trusted him completely. Figure out why. Now it looks like that trust finally caught up with him.
So what makes you think?